Welcome to Your Time to Thrive with personal fitness coach Jason Stevenson.
Hi, friends. Happy Wednesday. Welcome to the Thrive Training Podcast. I'm your host and grateful to have you today. Looking forward to hearing from you. If you have any questions or comments, jump on and listen. If you're listening to us, record it. Thank you for taking the time out of your life to spend some time with us. Today, Ben and I are going to talk together. We got a little continuation of last week's conversation. The illustrious, infamous Benjamin Barber.
Hey, everybody. What are we talking about today, Jason?
We're going to continue the conversation that we started last week a little bit, but we're talking about how half a sandwich is better than no sandwich.
Explain. Just seems like a weird sentence.
It's, I don't know where I got that from. I think it has to do with a lifetime of choosing. And that's kind of what we're talking about today. It's about how you choose to live your life. Last week we were talking about who you listen to. So today is about that as well. It's like who are you listening to, and who's your coach, who's your positive person, or who's the voice in your head. It could be outside, it could be inside, but how are you choosing to look at life? Are you always looking at life as the optimist or the pessimist? The half full, half empty kind of conversation.
Right.
I've been through enough in my life that has really knocked me down, and I have chosen to look at that as a lesson. Even when I felt like life was giving me a half a sandwich, I was trying and making that effort to choose to be grateful for at least that half a sandwich, because there are plenty of people that don't have any sandwich, or I could be sitting there without a sandwich, theoretically or metaphorically speaking here. Because anybody that knows me, it's very rare that I'm not eating. So it's not often that I don't have a sandwich. But thank you, Beck. Becky says, hell yeah. Because the choice is yours to make every day. Life is going to continue to happen, and it's going to evolve whether you sit on your couch and cry about it or whether you get up and do something about it. There's enough reused phrases that have become cliche, don't cry over spilled milk kind of thing. But how often do we hear that kind of stuff? And we all know somebody that's like that. We all know somebody in our life that no matter what happens, they're piss poor attitude about it. They're just whiny about it, or this happened, or I had to go to work today, and the converse, we all know somebody in our life who has the flip of that. And I would definitely label Becky as one of those people in my life that has that positive attitude, that no matter what knocks you down, you come out of it with a positive attitude, like at least this, or I get to this.
Yeah.
So
absolutely.
Go ahead.
Oh, nothing. Well, first of all, just about the positive attitude, obviously half a sandwich is better than no sandwich. Who doesn't love sandwiches? I have friends that can't eat gluten. They still love sandwiches. They just make it work. But so I love the analogy mainly because I love sandwiches. And I was daydreaming about Subway before this call. So whatever, but anyway, yeah, dude, the positivity, like that's, well, we talked about that last week a little bit with the, what are you listening to, and I think we said, like, putting in some positive music or some positive, like, whatever. I have a friend who, and I never thought that I did this myself, but then I later realized that I did, and I'll get to that in a second. But I have a friend that, like, after we saw The Dark Knight in like 06 or whatever, 07, he engulfed, since he was a little kid, like if he watched a lot of something, he would like take on the mannerisms of this book. He was an actor, and like he just, what I mean? So like if he watched a lot of stuff that was like disturbing, he would kind of act a little disturbing, and like, you know, like if he was watching comedies, he'd be more funny, and like it just what he was absorbing was coming out in his personality. And I always thought that like I was like, man, he's crazy, you know? And then and then it was like you know, after watching an obscene amount of Scrubs in like in like the late aughts, uh, I was like, "Oh, I'm 10 times goofier right now because of JD, right? Because of the tone and tenor of that show, I'm being more goofy." And, um, you know, because of the like, I latched on to, like, certain characteristics of things that, like and you just start to unconsciously mimic what you're putting into your system. Um, and I realized that, and like, you know, I was never more of a hopeless romantic than I was when I first started binging The Office over and over again, you know, and all of this like was seemingly nonsense. But the point is, you might not be that person and you might not realize that, but there's a really good chance that the books you read, the podcasts you listen to, the TV shows you watch, the movies you watch, the music that you listen to is all going to affect your mood, your personality, your approach to life, you know, like those things do enter in like through osmosis.
Oh
And
yeah.
and you know, if you're just listening to negativity all the time, it's going to affect you.
Yeah, it's amazing how little we put into that. You know, I think it's funny that you're actually talking about shows like that because it's absolutely true. You know, the more that you surround people with, and it's in our day and age, you know, well, that's probably where I get a lot of that from. My mom's quote here is "garbage in, garbage out." The converse is true. I've heard her say that for a long time in my life. When we were little, we weren't allowed to watch certain TV shows. We weren't allowed to have guns. You know, there was a lot of control that they put into our lives to impress upon us the importance of that and the awareness of that. You know,
Yeah.
that was something that can be very subtly done. You know, the slow boil of the frog, that you may not be thinking about it, but that which you surround yourself with, and you hear it often with, it's who you surround yourself with that will help you or hurt you, you know. But that becomes a little different nowadays, and that's why I'm talking about the TV thing, because
Right.
nowadays a lot of people just live their life, do work, and then come home, and then they veg out on the couch, or they're reading, or their podcast, or whatever they're doing, and then that becomes like their teacher. That becomes their environment. You know, the stuff like you said, the social media that you're feeding yourself with, or the movies that you're watching, the TV shows that you're watching, the music. It all has a cellular impact on you, and it's technically scientific because they've proven it. You know, you can play really loud, angry music to plants, and they do not do as well as those that are being played classical, happy music. Um, so
Yeah.
to put a impactful awareness on that and be conscious of it. Now, that's not to say that you can't watch something, right, that's got a little
No,
horror
not
in
at
it
all.
or something crazy, right? But
No, watching a horror movie doesn't make people go out and kill people, generally speaking. So, like, that's not at all what we're saying. It's like the overall tone of the massive majority of what you're intaking.
yeah,
You know,
yeah.
just like one cheeseburger doesn't make you uh like really out of shape.
Obese. Yeah.
Yeah.
How
Um.
how about lots of cheeseburgers though?
Yes. Yes. Uh. I want a cheeseburger
That's
now.
the right. That's the point, right?
Yeah.
Ben's hungry, dude. You need to eat lunch before we talk. You know I'm going to talk about food.
You know I don't eat until like 2 in the afternoon
Yeah,
anyway.
you need a snack, dude. You need a snack. Something in the morning. You doing fast? Are you
No,
fasting?
yeah.
Nice.
Yeah. A couple times. I mean, like 3 days last week, I got distracted and I didn't eat until like 4 in the afternoon, and that was probably not good.
Yeah. How
But,
hungry were you at
you know,
4 o'clock?
uh, it was it was one day was bad. The next day was completely fine, which was a little unnerving or whatever. But overall it was really good.
Good.
Yeah, I had oatmeal and peanut butter for dinner last night.
Nice. What'd you
It
think?
was just well, I mean, I like that's usually my breakfast.
Yeah.
But yeah, but for whatever reason, last night I just made a big bowl of oatmeal and peanut butter, and it was good. It
That'll
was
fill
really
you up.
good. Yeah,
That'll
for
fill you up.
sure.
Yeah.
So anyway, what were we talking about? Sandwiches?
Always food. Well, continuing it from last week, because the piece that we've talked about a lot is that inner monologue and like who you're listening to in your own head. And I think that's the hardest one to be conscious of in this conversation. That it's easy to say, oh, that's a friend of mine, but they're always really negative and they're always really down, so I'm going to control how much time I spend with them, or I'm going to control the conversation, or we're only going to do stuff where we don't have to talk that much. I don't have to get involved in too much negativity. But how do you filter that when it's your own head or it's your own voice? How do we think about that? That's why I was thinking about this today, because that's the hardest one for me to control. I can filter what TV I watch. I can filter what podcasts I listen to, who I spend time with. But you can't change who the person is that you're listening to when you're listening to yourself. Now I can't hear you.
There we go. All right. I got it.
Ben getting his mute button to work here.
I was wondering, it's not the mute button on here. I was wondering what was up with my interface, and I figured it out. So I'm happy. I'm happy now, because I'm like, I've been using that. I've been using that slider to mute myself, like during some pretty important conversations. And I really hope that it was working the way that I thought that it was. And I just looked at it. I'm like, yeah, no,
You're
it's
good.
Cool, it's cool.
You're good.
I needed the other slider up as well. So anyway, yeah.
So how do you
go ahead?
No, go ahead.
No, you go ahead. Ask your question, and I'll answer your question.
How do you filter that? How do we control that? How do we manage that monologue?
Okay, so I have some people who I love dearly who are fairly negative people, right? And for a really long time, that affected me in the way of I guess this is crazy, or I guess this is not crazy is an extreme word that sounds like gaslighting or something, and it's not anywhere near that level. But like, oh, maybe I shouldn't do this, or maybe this is really hard, maybe this is harder than I think, or whatever. And or just things would be an issue that I didn't think always needed to be an issue. And when I realized that none of that had anything to do with me, and that that just because somebody else thinks something is hard and they might be right doesn't mean that I can't try it anyway. And the more, and it's momentum, right? It's little victories. So the more you do something against negativity, and this is anything. This is like if your parents don't believe in you, or they want you to, like, say you want to be an artist, right? And everybody's telling you to go get a real job, whatever. Like, you might be crushed by that, but if you keep doing your art and you keep improving and you keep seeing the improvements and getting, and find YouTube is your friend, Google is your friend, podcasts are your friend. You can get positivity from all of those things. You can learn things from all of those things. You might not have $60,000 to go to a school to learn about that, but you have YouTube, so you have ways. So exactly. So you have ways to do this stuff and to keep climbing that ladder. And putting those little, those little blocks, those little victories, they're a wall that you're building, like a brick wall, and every little positive step that you take is just another brick between you and that negativity. And then when you know that negative force is coming in on you, you don't even like, it doesn't matter, you know, you love them and you can just, so and the other side of that is empathy, right? So the biggest wall between you and negativity is empathy. Like if you're, my dad did not want me to quit football and join theater for my health, and that was a good thing on his point, right? But I didn't see it as that. He didn't want me to go to school. He wanted me to get I quit a job and he didn't like the way that I did it, and he was right about that. But specifically, like, and he was always super supportive and, you know, like a great amazing person, but he worked in a mill for 54 years to provide for his family, and his son was like, I'm gonna go put on plays with my friends, you know? And it's like, are you gonna make money doing it? And like, you know, so to, instead of, and this wasn't a butting head situation. He was always supportive of me. But in that scenario where you know, like, you got to look at it from the other person's perspective, right? If you're trying to like make videos of yourself working out, and you know other people are like, hey, stop fat shaming other people, or like whatever, like those insults that they're putting on you are from them.
Yep.
And the negativity of, like, if you have a friend and you're like, hey, I'm gonna go run a marathon, and they're like, you could never run a marathon, you have no idea how hard running a marathon is, Jason. You can't even, like, you get out of breath on a treadmill after like 3 miles. Come on, you're not going to run a marathon. And you're like, you know what? They It's not about me. It's not about me. Like, if I want to do this, I can do this. And I think so I think empathy and piling up your little victories are the two ways to combat negativity coming in from friends and loved ones and strangers.
Yes. Well, you said a big piece there that we all tend to forget, that it's not about you.
Yeah.
You know, if somebody's cranking negativity at you for whatever reason it is, 99% of that has nothing to do with you.
Mm-hmm.
You might have done something, or there might have been circumstances that were around that brought that out. But 99% of that is unresolved emotions and things that they need to figure out and deal with on their own. I wholeheartedly agree with that. I use the analogy like driving. You know, if somebody comes driving right up behind you and comes right up on your bumper and wants to fly past you, if you just get out of the way and let them go, they no longer exist in your life. But if you fight it, you stand there and you fight that, they'll ride up your bumper for as long as they can.
Yeah.
You know, so emotionally and psychologically, it's easy to say that. But when people are cranking stuff at you and they're throwing all kinds of negativity at you, especially if you know that it's not you, like if you know that in the heart of hearts that like somebody I just ran into is really in a bad mood, but they're going to throw it in my face. I agree with your thought process. I love the idea of that wall. I love the idea of the empathy, because you're right. Who you are is a foundation of reality that you can put up around yourself all the time. They call that undeniable truths. When you start to lose your connection with who you are, you want to list off things that are real. You know, I am smart. I am likable. God damn it, people like me. We as a society need to self-check before we speak. Damn right, Megan. Have empathy for others and recognize the emotions we experience instead of reacting right away. I think that's a great way to say that, actually, that we need to self-check before we speak, whether that's a reaction or a response or it's an initiation. Self-check, like check in there, you know.
Yep.
Is this going to be positive? Is this going to be helpful? Is this going to be loving? Is it supportive? You know, or at the very least, is it not damaging? Right.
Mm-hmm. Something that I'd love to say, like, on both ends of this, is about the empathy thing and about like just not having anything to do with another thing, right? So like I got into an argument with somebody last week that was they asked me to do something, right? And I said, okay, I can do that for you. And then I said, you know, cool. So it'll be done, right? It'll be done. And then they were like, well, no, like we can't do that. We have nowhere to do this and this, and like if we actually do it, we have like 17 other problems that we have, and nothing works. And I was like, you asked me to do something, and I was like, okay, cool, like, and we don't have to have an argument about it, right? But we got into this huge fight, and later this person was like, hey, I'm really sorry. That had nothing to do with you. As soon as we thought about this, as soon as you said that it was a possibility and that we could do it, I thought about this and that and all of these reasons why if I don't get this done, it's negative for me and I'm scared and I just took that out, right? And that was powerful.
Amazing.
The converse of that, I had a situation literally 2 days ago where a 5-year-old said something in passing that really hurt my feelings,
Aw.
really hurt my feelings, and he didn't say it maliciously. He didn't know what he was saying. I mean, he knew what he was saying, but he didn't know that it was hurtful or anything. Like, he
Yeah.
just thought that it was a funny observation, and it hurt my feelings so much that I was a complete asshole to everyone else in the house for the next 3 hours. I came back out and I was silent, like, I didn't care about what we were doing anymore, like, I got in my own head, and then later that night, like, I had to, you know, own up to it and be like, "Guys, that had nothing to do with you." And it honestly had nothing to do with him either, like, he just a 5-year-old should not hurt your feelings that much with an observation. That is something that is in you, that you have to deal with. If a
Yeah.
5-year-old can crush you like that with a simple observation. So, anyway,
So how did you catch yourself? Because that in and of itself right there is a lot about what we're talking today. It's about um, having enough humility and honesty with yourself to know that the response or reaction that we have initiated or that we have taken part in was not the best, optimal, right?
Yeah.
Nobody's perfect, right? We're not perfect. We're going to respond. You're going to knee jerk react into some way, but how do we catch that? Like,
I get a stupid amount of praise, right? I do. Like, I believe that you introduced me in this episode as like the always remarkable or something.
yes,
Um, you
true.
know, uh, both of my parents have passed away in the last 5 months, so people have said a lot of nice things about me. That they've been overly complimentary of me. And I've gotten to do a lot of cool stuff in the last year with the new governor and with the town and with churches, and you know what I mean? Like, I've been able to be put in this position because I do this one specific thing well. I've been able to be put in this position where, because I'm a nice guy, because I'm fairly altruistic, like, I get a lot of compliments about it, right?
Good.
I
You
do.
earned. You deserve it.
But the thing is, I don't like not have an ego. And so the 2 people in my house, 3 with the kid, but the 2 people in my house can check me on that so well, and I need to be, you know?
We all do. We all
I
do.
yeah, I need to be very much. And so, like, there's it takes a lot more introspection to be like, you know, th- if they say that I'm not listening to them as much, or that, and this one sounds terrible, but like, that just everybody's going through a hard time right now. Everyone is. There are times when I talk about my day and it feels like I'm bragging. And there's got to be a truth to that. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So I have to really go, am I fucking this up? You know what I mean? Like, am I full of myself? Am I taking this out on other people? By taking something out on other people, am I, like, I don't know. Like, I need to listen to the two closest people to me when they say
Huge.
like, you're not around, like, you go in your room and you work for hours and then we don't hear from you. And like, of course you don't like participate in the grocery list as much as like we do, because you're not here and like we're just having passing conversations with each other about what we'd like to eat that week. And I'm like, so I have to so I have to be more aware of the things that I do wrong. Um so I think that having people that hold you accountable is a great way to sort of start to recognize when you're doing things that are that are not good. You know, I think that that's so, and holding other people accountable too helps you recognize that behavior when it's happening on your own. Like, if that person didn't apologize in the way that they did a week ago, then it might not have been at the top of my mind
Yeah.
to be so earnest about the fact that to yeah, so it probably wouldn't have been at the top of my mind to be like, you know what, I messed up.
Yeah.
This wasn't about you at all. Yeah.
That was a gift. That was a gift that somebody gave you. That's huge. Well, I agree, Meg. Meg says it is hard to hear compliments when you don't believe them yourself. I think that's a big piece of it. So there's a couple pieces there I want to touch on that. I call it mirrors, call them mirrors, as far as people in your life who will be clear to you about who you're being and how you're acting. I was very fortunate when I was growing up that I gave my parents plenty of opportunities to tell me when I was acting in a way that needed to be checked. I learned that they had my best interest in mind. A lot of that is hindsight. I wish I had been more self-aware, but I think that it's on both ends of that, Meg, that to take the compliments, we have to be honest with ourselves, like who we are. Believe in yourself, forgive yourself for your bullshit, and have faith in yourself. And that will come from the people that you talk to that will compliment you and support you, but it will also come when you don't take that feedback negatively. If somebody says something to you and it touches on a nerve, then sit there for a minute. We're so used to finding comfort. We're so quick to like want to change the scenario or change the narrative or get out of that discomfort. It's okay to pay attention to something that needs to be paid attention to. Now, it doesn't mean to spend hours at home self-deprecating and wallowing in pity, but when you find yourself in a place that you realize that you fucked up, admit it, own it, and recognize what it was. Like, all right, so I really said something that hurt somebody's feelings. What was that I said? Wow, that was why. Like run through it and then talk to that person. Own it. You're human. Everybody's human. We all make mistakes. But when you can own who you are and be vulnerable with somebody and apologize for that vulnerability and say, that wasn't about you, or I know that I fucked up. I shouldn't have reacted like that. I'm really sorry. That goes a long way.
Yeah.
Because that then, like you said, that builds that wall. That builds some stability for yourself. You're an honest person with yourself. You're an honest person with other people. They're honest with you, and they can tell you, hey, you're being an asshole. You need to spend more time with us. Like whatever that is. Don't take it as an attack. Take it as feedback.
Mm-hmm.
Like distance yourself.
I took it as an attack so many times.
Oh, it's so hard.
Sometimes,
Of course. I one of the best tricks that I have for that external, and all of these conversations that we've had here so far, and the stuff we've talked about as far as external response and reaction with our friends and our family and our coworkers and people we encounter in life, these can all apply to that inner monologue. It's just a little bit harder, right? It just takes a little bit more consciousness because there's not somebody else just saying to you, hey, you were being an asshole last night. You should not have said it like that to me. We all know the truth, right? Like we all know when we're being an asshole. We all know when we've said something out of turn. We all know when we could have been more patient, whether it was with another person or with like ourselves. But I think finding that grounding, that reality in who you are, it's huge because you can learn from that. Then you can build from that.
That reminds me of one of my favorite quotes from a song, which is from the Avett Brothers. It's a song called the chorus of the song is "Tell the truth to yourself, and the rest will fall in place." Which and little truths too. And this should be an entire episode, so we'll do that at some other point. But little things like, for example, I just looked over. We talked a lot about drinking water in the first several episodes of this because I never drank water at all. It was bad. And I, one of the first episodes of this, I literally got up from the computer and took it with me to go get water so that I knew that I would do it. Right now, I looked over and I saw my bottle of vitamin D.
Nice.
And I was like, if I don't take that right now, I'm not going to for the rest of the day. And that's me being honest with myself.
Yeah. And that's okay. That's not beating yourself up. And then here's the next piece though. So awareness is one thing, right? So recognizing what's going on is one thing, but where's the next step, right? What's the solution? Right? You got to change that. You got to change what it is. So just step up and take the vitamin, right? Yep. Now we're done. Now you don't have to worry about it. But recognizing what you're doing that's inputting into your world in a positive way or in a negative way is the first step. And then recognizing what you're doing with that. It's like we talked about with the cheat meal. Do you use a cheat meal as a way of justifying being good the rest of the week? Do you use it as a way of beating yourself up for several days because I shouldn't have eaten that whole pizza, whatever it is?
Yep.
Oh, speaking of which, local here, Village Pizza opened back up again
in Hope Valley.
Yeah,
in Wyoming.
Oh,
I'm gonna call my uncle and tell him.
I heard that the other day. I need confirmation actually because I've only heard it from one source.
All
but
right,
when I think about eating a whole pizza, I picture eating like a Village Pizza because they're not gigantic.
No, they were amazing.
Yeah.
Whew.
Sorry, real random tangent for those of you in the area. Village Pizza.
That was the place that made me love regular cheese pizza.
So many people grew up going there. Apparently,
Meg's excited. Meg's excited. All right. Well, this has been a wonderful episode. Jason, where can people find you?
You can find me on thrivetrainingteam.com. That's the website with all the information, contacts, videos, links to our social media page, and most importantly, just me. If you have questions related to your health and fitness or anything else, honestly, I'll answer whatever questions you have. Shoot me a message and reach out. That's what I'm here for. And remember, pay attention to the voice. It is yours. You have a choice as to how you respond, react, and how you interact in this world. Do the best you can, folks. Have a great day. Thanks for listening.
For more information, tips, and workouts of the day, check out thrivetrainingteam.com.